So in all the prep and glory that I've been doing for Path of Exile 2, I've kind of noticed something with the gaming industry, and it's kind of a trend that has appeared over the past couple of years. And honestly, how it's been contrasting against what Grinding Gear Games, the developer of Path of Exile 2, is looking to do. That when a game has heart and soul, it has quality and depth, it's going to succeed. It's a simple formula. I've been gaming for nearly 30 years, and I can tell you that's exactly what most gamers want. Look at games like Baldur's Gate. Look at games like Black Myth Wukong. Look at Elden Ring. I mean, hell, even Space Marine 2. All of these games did exactly what they intended to do. They had their target audience and they struck it. They didn't try to cast a wide net. They focused on what they do the best. And look at how successful those games were. And that's the trend that I'm starting to notice, is that Path of Exile 2 is going to be a massive wake-up call. So Path of Exile 1 is an immensely detailed game with tons of different choices through the skill trees, other ways that you can customize your character, make your own unique build. This is all well known. There's a reason that Path of Exile has been around for so long, and it's noted as one of the best ARPGs of all time. Of course, I could take a moment to take a shot at Diablo 4, but I'll leave that to you guys in the comment section below. The gameplay is fast and fun, and it's just a true testament of the dedicated grind that Grinding Gear Games, the developer of Path of Exile, really have put into it. Now enter Path of Exile 2. Now, I got to play Path of Exile 2 in an early playtest back in March of 2024 at the LA Exile meetup. And honestly, I got my face pushed in. I got to play as a warrior, and the combat was brutal, the boss fights were intense. It felt like it was going to be a challenge. And a lot of the new content that's come out about Path of Exile 2 and a lot of its other features, they all seem like this has been a continuation into the iteration of the game. That it is going to be a challenge, which is fantastic. Now, I won't sit here and say like I'm some type of ARPG master, far from it, but I like to think that I can pick up a game and understand it fairly quickly. I can understand the systems of what's going on. And I think that's one of the reasons why Path of Exile 2 is going to shake the industry, is because it's not pulling any punches. The game is looking like it's going to require a certain level of skill, a certain level of dedication to succeed in the game, which is fantastic. I'm almost reminded of like Elden Ring, where it's like synonymous with the term get good. I know that's viewed as kind of like a derogatory term, but it never should be, because it's kind of like encouragement for you to improve, to succeed, to get better, not necessarily as a you suck. And I mean, how many times have you played through a game and it's basically held your hand? It's basically said, okay, this is the choice that you need to make here, and then here's the next choice that you need to make over here. Personally, I'm not for that. I hate that type of gameplay. Like, let me go and figure things out. Let me undo this puzzle, as it were, and then work from there. That's the kind of stuff that I think really a lot of gamers enjoy, is like, I like the difficulty. And I know for a fact that many gamers play video games for like rest and relaxation and just kind of like chill vibes. However, I feel like there's that many more who also want a bit of challenge. They want something that's going to require a certain level of dedication to be good at. Now, I know that may not be the sentiment for everyone, but the idea of the challenge being there and Path of Exile 2 unapologetically saying that this is how their game is, it's so damn refreshing. That kind of pales in comparison to what Path of Exile already does pretty well, which is its customization. As mentioned, Path of Exile is going to have an immense skill tree, which I think this really couldn't come as any more of a, oh my goodness, that's a surprise. That is something that's very well known. I mean, you've probably have seen the memes of Path of Exile 1 where players who are new to the game go in and see the skill tree and just have their doors blown off. Path of Exile 2 is looking to have beautiful character customization across the board, which is something that I am absolutely here for. I like being able to go in and make my unique builds and my unique character. I love that. That's what I look for. And of course, carrying over all the other wonderful things that Path of Exile already does, where you have, say, the skill gems, which allow you to choose your skills, as well as having supporting gems to up their power or their effectiveness. And then, of course, all the different gear that you're going to be able to get for this game, which, again, this is an ARPG, and of course, Path of Exile, this is well known. You get the gear, and the gear scales infinitely, and you get random lucky drops. It's really a fun loop, honestly. But this is the beauty of Path of Exile 2, as well as Path of Exile 1, but I'll focus on Path of Exile 2, is that the customization is there. Now, if you look at a game that's comparable to, like, Diablo 4, okay, Diablo 4, you have, like, 2 choices, and they have 2 sub-choices, and that's it. You're kind of locked into going where you can go, because that's really all you have. Recently, I was playing as a bear druid, and I only had, like, 3 different options of what I was going to play like. Ooh, that's awesome. I know I said I wasn't going to hate on Diablo 4, but this one actually kind of makes sense. And this is one of the things that really impressed me with the development of Path of Exile 2 from Grinding Gear Games, because the game isn't trying to limit you or to simplify things for you. Yes, I believe there's a feature in there that'll allow you to have like recommended. This is what we would recommend you taking. Play your game the way that you want to play your game. It does require a lot of time. It does require a lot of patience and dedication in the development for the developers, but it really adds so much extra value to the gamer that I can play the way that I want to play. Hell yeah. And of course, that does mean that new players who are coming in to try out Path of Exile 2 probably are going to be facing the same kind of learning curve that I did when I played Path of Exile 1 for the first time earlier this year. And honestly, playing Path of Exile, it kind of reminds me of this meme.
Is it worth it? Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough.
Of course, the first time that I did play Path of Exile, it was overwhelming, but I stuck with it because I had a feeling that it was going to be worth it. And hell yeah, it was absolutely worth it. It was so damn fun. And if I know anything about how this game is going to be developed and what we are seeing, it's going to be worth it. This game is going to be 100% worth it. And then the best part, eventually, all of this will be free. Imagine spending tons of money on a game that you were going to develop and release, and then making it free to play. That does happen. And I got news for you. In this current era of video games setting out early releases, ultimate packages, collector's editions, things like that, it's really monetizing the idea of FOMO, fear of missing out. And many games, especially AAA games, focus only on the metrics of how many units were sold, how many units were moved, how many people purchased the game. We don't care if they actually enjoyed the game. We care that we sold as much as we needed to, which is kind of a scummy practice, to say the least. However, I would be an absolute fool if I didn't understand that developers and publishers need to sell the game to actually make money. I understand that. But the idea of the FOMO is like, oh man, I'm going to miss out on a pair of cosmetic dragon wings that if I didn't purchase the early access and have that set up, then I'm going to be missing out, and it's going to look bad, and I have the opportunity now. And then you purchase the pre-order and you purchase the early access, what have you, the ultimate package, and then the game dies off and cancels service a month later. You've missed out on that money, and that's something that a lot of developers end up seeming to be preying on, especially for gamers. Publishers really heavily pushing these games, even though that they may be unfinished or buggy or a mess, pushing these games to have their crazy high sales and then purchasing rave reviews from other media outlets, IGN. But those types of things happen all the time, and then it really capitalizes on the market of, oh, is this game actually going to be something good? Well, I don't want to miss out riding that wave, because gamers like to actually game together, for the most part. Isn't that funny? I'll be the first one to tell you this if you haven't heard it already. If the game looks like crap in early access and early previews, then more likely than not, it is going to be crap on release. Now, how can you expect to make a lot of money, or any money at all, on a game that is free to play? Path of Exile 1 already has shown us how that is done, and Path of Exile 2 is already on its way to showing us that same fact. So in Path of Exile 1, it is a free to play game. However, there are microtransactions in the store that you can purchase that offer a number of different cosmetics as well as quality of life features, that being carried over to Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access on December 6th, and for you to have access to the game, you need to pay the minimum of $30 for the early access. Okay, cool. When the game is fully released in 2025, or when it's scheduled to be in 2025, it will be free to play, meaning that you will be able to have all the content, all the challenge, all the difficulty that I've been talking about for free, which is insane. Now, of course, they have a bunch of starter packs that you can purchase, the minimum being 30. I think there's like other multiples of 30 all the way up. But the main feature is that you get early access starting, of course, December 6th, as well as some coins, as well as some points that you can spend on the in-game store. If you're new to this, I would recommend stashes. Stashes are always going to be the best way. You can never go wrong with those. However, it's your points, spend them how you want to. But the idea that this game is going to be free to play really puts to shame, honestly, games that have come out recently that are, you know, $100 for you to be able to play the main game and the expansion. And it's so lackluster. There's so lack of content that it's just like you're really hanging on the IP. Damn, I am really harping on Diablo 4, and I said I wasn't going to. And then the best part is that Path of Exile 1, and I'm sure in Path of Exile 2, they don't sell any pay-to-win features. That is without a doubt one of the best kind of game models that you can have. Like, yes, the gameplay is there and you can work and do everything that you need to just on the base model itself, the free-to-play, and you're good to go. But if you want to spend some extra money, you'll be able to get these quality of life features or some cosmetics. That is a wonderful business practice. That is something that I can understand. The game is going to, of course, try to make money, but we still offer all this quality all the way across the board. Incredible. And if none of that interests you right now to spend the $30 on the early access, you can simply just wait until the game is free to play and then try it out and then make your own decision. That is the beauty of this. You really won't find that many good deals in gaming nowadays. And honestly, gamers really need a good deal. In fact, I think they need a good deal. Gamers are tired. True gamers are tired. They are tired of low quality, unfinished garbage being thrust in our face at the highest possible price, and it is infuriating, to say the least. And of course, that's not to say with every game that has come out. Of course, there are notable exceptions, but I feel like there's such a break from publishers as well as gamers, even developers to some degree, that they don't understand what gamers truly want. And I feel like a lot of gamers just want to have a memorable experience, a game that has some type of meaning to them, that is fun, that makes them be able to forget reality for a little bit. I feel like that's what most gamers are after, and publishers really just don't know how to do that for the most part anymore. And again, I carry that over, even some developers might not understand that as well. I mean, look at like Ubisoft. Ubisoft is like one of the worst offenders of late. I mean, Skull and Bones was released that nobody really asked for, and the game really has flopped hard. I really don't know how many people actually play it. I haven't heard or seen much content about it, so I don't know. And then even their free-to-play shooter, X-Defiant, just got announced that it was shutting down. I mean, these are examples of games that, like, who was this made for? Right? Who is that being made for? And then even like Sony was sitting there pushing Concord for the longest time. The writing was on the wall. People were like, we are probably not going to like this game. This is probably not going to be it. They still released it, and then the game had to shut down. The studio had to shut down. And of course, I'm sure that there are tons of other examples of this, but the reality is that there is a break between publishers and developers and gamers. And those publishers and developers who actually understand their audience and understand the players that they're trying to target are the ones that do well. I mean, look at Black Myth Wukong. It had like nearly 2.5 million concurrent players. That says something. And honestly, I am glad that Path of Exile 2 and Grinding Gear games have been this transparent. They have showed what the game will be like. They have showed the systems. They have built the hype appropriately leading up to the release of this game. It is incredible, and it's something that I commend them for. They are doing very, very well. And Path of Exile 2, in my mind, is going to create a massive tidal wave, a huge impact on the gaming industry as a whole. For the amount of content, the amount of development, the polish, the quality, and the heart and soul that went into this game, it's going to be nothing less than momentous. And honestly, it should be a massive wake-up call for the entire gaming industry. What do you think about Path of Exile 2? Tell me down in the comment section below. If you want to see some of my early playtest gameplay that I was able to put together earlier this year, you can click this video here. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.